Howdy, folks. It's Mr. Newfer here. I just put in a grade last week for the Dino Race or racing game, race to the finish, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's a player versus computer race in Scratch. And because I put a grade in for it, I figured I'd make a tutorial for those that weren't here. So we're going to hop to it. The goal is to get two dinosaurs to race across the screen to a finish line, and you control one of them. The computer controls the other. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. It's the first thing you should always do. Keep your files organized. I'm just going to call it Dino Race, and because I already have one, I'm going to call it number two. I'm going to get rid of the scratch cat because we don't need it, and I'm going to go find Colorful City as a backdrop. I like it because you can kind of use the road here as a little racing strip, but you can use whatever backdrop you want. For sprites, I need to make sure I have two dinosaur sprites, so I'm going to go with the long neck one. Put him right there. And I'm going to go with the T-Rex. So I'm going to see if he's in dinosaurs. Yeah, he's dinosaur 4. And he'll be right here. That Brachiosaurus is pretty big, so we'll call him 80. There we go. Now, these both have costumes, you'll see. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one and this one. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these two. That way when we animate these characters, it kind of just looks like they're running. They're not doing a bunch of other stuff. All right, so we're going to start with our T-Rex. Actually, we need one more. We're going to get the line sprite. So if you type in line, it'll pop up right here. And we're going to go ahead and point this 180 degrees. And we're going to go ahead and make it a lot smaller, so maybe 50. And we're going to slide it in towards the end right about there. Perfect. Notice how the rest of it disappeared. Because this is a sprite, we can use this with our condition. So we could say, if touching sprite, then do something. So let's start with our T-Rex here. This is the one that we'll control. And we want to control it with the right arrow. So first thing we're going to do is initialize it. This is where we want it to always start. So I'm going to go ahead and say, go to. And if you have the sprite already placed there, it'll autofill its coordinates. So that works out just fine. Now we're going to make a new sequence here, and we're going to say when space key is pressed. And we're going to go in and change that to right arrow key. I know I'm moving a little bit fast through this, but if you need anything else or you need to see something again, just pause it or rewind it. Okay, so when we hit the right arrow key, he's going to move 10 steps, which is nice. So if I hit the right arrow key, you see that, and I can hold it down and he'll move too. And when I hit the green flag, he goes back to where he needs to be. And now we're just going to say, if you are touching that line, sensing, touching mouse pointer, and then we'll change it to line, then say you won. So we'll use say hello, and we'll say, I did it, or whatever else you want it to say, no big deal. And then where he's moving right here, we're going to say next costume, which is right below that. So now when we hit the right arrow key, kind of looks like he's running a little bit. His front foot doesn't move, but scratch sprites, what are you going to do? For our Brachiosaurus, he is controlled by the computer, so we don't actually do anything with him. All we're going to do is hit space and he'll get started. So we're going to say when the green flag is clicked, we want him to start in this position. We're just initializing again. You should probably always be initializing your sprites. And I also am going to say switch costume to Dinosaur 1, just to make sure he stays, or sorry, Dinosaur 1A, just to make sure he always starts like that. Yeah, like that. Then, when the space key is pressed, because we're going to use space instead of the right arrow for this guy, when space key is pressed, we're going to use a new block. We're going to say repeat until. This is like a conditional loop. It'll always do what you tell it to until the condition is true. Once again, our condition is going to be touching line. So he'll do whatever is inside of this until he's touching that line. So we're just going to say move. And to make our game a little harder, I'm going to say move 20. And next costume. Okay. So if we go ahead and give this a test, when the green flag's pressed, I hit space and he runs. Wow, he really does run. So because we have a costume loop in here, we're going to go ahead and add a wait block. Not for very long. We're just going to say 0.1 seconds. So let's try that again. We can race against that. That's much better. So here, he runs and we run. What? Boom, he did it. Perfect. That's all we had to do for this one. It was a pretty simple one. The thing that was so tricky about it is that I had it done in GroupWorks and we used pseudocode to plan it out. So it was more of an introduction to pseudocode, which is basically just describing what you want to happen and then coding it afterwards. Pseudocode is a really great technique when you don't really understand what you're going to do next. So for this T-Rex right here, I could say, when I press the right arrow, I want him to move right and his costume should animate. If he touches the line, then I want him to say something like he won, and then I could break each of those steps down into a block. So when I press the right arrow key, I want him to move to the right and switch costumes. And then if he touches the finish line, I want him to say he won or something. So yeah, makes it a pretty easy project. And if you were absent when we were working on this, go ahead and use this as kind of a way to make sure you're staying caught up. And if you have any questions about this, come see me in person or drop a comment on this video if you're not one of my students. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you guys later. I just posted 2 videos for this week, so I don't know if I'll post later on. But if I do post later this week, it'll be more of like a let's play, kind of a fun thing. So hope you all have a good day and happy Valentine's Day.